At Christmas, Daniela's parents and her sister made her 11-year-old daughter eat alone in an empty room. They gave the girl burned toast and a rotten apple. She deserved it, her mom said. Her sister nodded. At the time, Daniela was on a night shift at the hospital. She didn't shout. She started making moves. 3 days later, her parents were screaming in panic. She's Daniela, 37, our surgeon. And yes, she worked on Christmas. Not because she enjoys it, but because when there's a major accident, you grab your keys and go. Even if you've just shown up at your parents' house with your daughter to celebrate Christmas. Eliza didn't want to come in the first place. She said it quietly. "Mom, can we just stay home this year?" Daniela smiled, trying to make it sound normal. "Sweetheart, we can't. It's tradition. Everyone comes together for Christmas. Grandma and Grandpa would be upset if we didn't show." She gave Eliza a hug. "It'll be fine." At the time, she really thought she was doing the right thing, trying to keep some version of family intact. They hadn't even parked when the hospital called. Multi-car accident. Multiple criticals. "You're needed." Daniela ran into the house, still in her coat, kissed her mom on the cheek, said a quick hello. Then she saw Eliza. The girl stood by the door in her favorite beanie, looking lost and anxious. That hat, Eliza's dad gave it to her 6 months before he died. He'd been sick for a while, but the heart attack still came out of nowhere. A year ago now. Eliza didn't take it well. She shut down, barely ate, cried all the time. Daniela had to get her into therapy just to stabilize her. And then Eliza started wearing that beanie. Everywhere. Inside. In summer. Daniela didn't argue. Everyone needs armor. She didn't want to leave Eliza. But she had to. Daniela crouched down and said, "You'll be okay, baby. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Be brave, okay?" Eliza nodded, barely. Daniela left, feeling like crap the whole drive to the hospital. That night felt like something out of a disaster movie. Sirens. Blood. Screaming. By the end, Daniela was just numb. Around midnight, she called her mom. "How's Eliza? Everything okay?" Her mother's voice was tight. Flat. "She's fine. Don't worry about us." Daniela asked to speak to Eliza. "She's asleep," her mom said. Daniela let it go. Told herself maybe Eliza really was asleep. Maybe things were actually fine. It's family, right? You trust them. She came back the next morning, like she promised. Ready for hugs, coffee, warm cinnamon rolls. Yeah, none of that happened. Her mom opened the door with a fake smile and a hint of passive-aggressive disappointment. "Well, look who finally showed up. We thought you weren't coming." Eliza ran out. No coat. No shoes. Just socks. She clung to her mother like Daniela had just come back from war. That's when Daniela knew something was very, very wrong. "What happened?" she asked. Eliza shook her head. "I want to go home." Daniela crouched again, looked her in the eye. "Eliza, sweetheart. You can tell me. Is everything okay?" Eliza whispered, "No. But I'll tell you at home." Daniela's mom hovered behind them, pretending not to hear. "She was awful last night. She brought it on herself. We just had to discipline her." "For what?" Daniela asked, standing. "She was rude," Chloe chimed in, robotic as ever, like she was reading from a traffic citation. She talked back. "It was unacceptable." "Seriously." Daniela turned to her dad. He cleared his throat. Said nothing. Daniela didn't argue. Just took Eliza's hand and said, "Come on." They went to the guest room, the one where Eliza slept. Sat on the edge of the bed. Only then did Eliza start to talk. Slowly. In fragments. Like saying it out loud made it worse. They laughed at her beanie. The one her dad gave her before he died. Said only weirdos wear hats indoors. Told her she had to take it off, or she couldn't sit at the table. She didn't want to. But Grandma said no hat, no dinner. So she took it off. And then, Daniela sat there, listening to her daughter's shaky little voice, and she swore something in her cracked open. How could they? How dare they? And how the hell did she leave Eliza alone with them? "I wanted to say a prayer," Eliza said quietly, "to thank God for the food. But Grandpa told me, we don't do that here. Don't make a scene. Aunt Chloe said I was ruining the holiday. Said I shouldn't be setting a bad example for Andrew." Daniela was already holding her breath. "I told them Dad used to say grace, and I wanted to do the same. And then Grandma said she was tired of hearing about my dad. She said you wasted years taking care of him while he was sick, and he wasn't worth it. That he was a loser. That's when Eliza broke down, full-on sobbing, face buried in Daniela's shoulder. I couldn't take it, she choked out. I yelled at them. I said not to talk about my dad like that. I told them he was better than all of them combined. Good girl, Daniela thought. But her heart was breaking. They all went quiet. Then Grandma grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the table. She told me to go to my room and not come out until morning. She even took my phone. I only got to leave for the bathroom. I could hear them laughing at the table. Daniela kept petting Eliza's hair, gently, trying to stay calm. Failing. They gave me food, Eliza added. Burnt toast, oatmeal, and an apple that was kind of gross. But Alex brought me some turkey and pie later. He told me not to tell anyone, so he wouldn't get in trouble. Grandma said he and Andrew weren't allowed to talk to me. Eliza took a deep breath. Alex was really nice. He said they were wrong, and I didn't do anything bad. Then she looked up with those red, tired eyes and asked, "Are you mad at me?" I yelled at them. Daniela hugged her tighter than she thought possible. "Sweetheart, no. I'm not mad. You did the right thing. You stood up for your dad. Why did they call him a loser? They were lying. And cruel. Your dad was a good man, smart, kind, and he loved you so much. I love you so much." Daniela kissed her head, told her to pack her things. They were leaving. Now, Daniela took a long breath and walked into the living room. They were all sitting there like nothing happened. Like this wasn't a disaster. Like they hadn't just emotionally gutted an 11-year-old. She stood in the middle of the room. "Do you honestly think this is okay? Punishing a child on Christmas? Mocking her dad? Locking her in a room? Taking her phone? Not letting her talk to me?" Her mom pursed her lips. She was out of control. She yelled. She made a scene. Because you humiliated her. You stomped all over the only piece of her dad she still has. Chloe stood up, cool and detached like always. "What did she tell you?" "She twists things. You know she has episodes." Daniela's voice was ice. "That wasn't an episode. You pushed her too far." Dad tried the calm, reasonable voice. "You know we only want what's best for her." But she was being disrespectful. She needed boundaries. Then he gave Daniela that tired sigh of his. "Let's just put this behind us. It's Christmas. Let's sit down as a family. Have a nice dinner." He reached for a box. "We got you both gifts. For you for Eliza." "Oh, that's rich." Daniela pushed the box away. "Eliza doesn't want your gifts. And I definitely don't. I believe my daughter. You had no right to treat her like that." Silence. Daniela walked over to the bag she dropped by the door when she came in, pulled out 2 wrapped presents. "Andrew," she said, handing him one. "This is for you. I hope you like it." He smiled, clueless. Excited. "Alex." She handed him his. "Thank you." He nodded, quick and quiet. Couldn't meet her eyes. Then Daniela took out a folder. Slowly, calmly, opened it, pulled out the contents, and tore them to pieces, shreds. Left them on the table, right in front of them. Mom gasped. "What are you doing?" Daniela looked her straight in the eye. "Starting." That was it. Daniela and Eliza left. In the car, Eliza didn't say a word, just stared out the window. Daniela put her hand gently on her daughter's shoulder. "You won't have to go through that again. Ever." And in Daniela's head, the plan was already forming. Clear. Surgical. They were going to remember this Christmas. Forever. Daniela knows when it really started. Not at Christmas. Not when Paul died. Not even when Eliza was born. It started way before that. She was born 3 years after Chloe. A surprise no one asked for. Her mom used to say childbirth with Daniela was hell. Apparently, she almost killed her. After Daniela, her mother's heart and joints started acting up. Life went downhill. She made sure Daniela heard that story more than once. First time was when Daniela spilled milk on the tablecloth at age 5. "You should be grateful we didn't just give you up at the hospital," she said. Chloe giggled. She always giggled. She was one of them, expected, planned, perfect. Chloe was the golden child. The choir girl, the embroidery princess, the collector of porcelain dolls in traditional dresses. Her room looked like a museum, White curtains, pastel boxes, everything neat and sparkly. Daniela's? Basically a storage closet. Hand-me-down furniture from the attic, a half-broken bookshelf filled with Chloe's old toys, now officially hers. Her dolls had missing limbs and someone else's names. New clothes? Only when Chloe's were too worn out to pass down. There was always money for Chloe's extracurriculars, ballet, swimming, art classes. When Daniela asked to try karate, Mom said, "You're already too aggressive. We don't need you turning into some boyish brute." Daniela got into astronomy once. Thought it was beautiful. Dad said, "Keep staring at the sky, you'll trip over your own feet. Why don't you help your mom around the house instead?" Helping was Daniela's job. By age 8, she was cleaning floors, folding laundry, dusting furniture. Meanwhile, Chloe was learning a new dance for her school performance or rehearsing a speech for the holiday concert. Chloe's existence was a family project. Daniela's was a maintenance issue. When they forgot to pick Daniela up from daycare, more than once, it was always her fault. "You know we're busy people," Mom would snap. "We can't drop everything for you." So Daniela sat on that bench outside the building, watching the lights turn off, teaching herself not to cry. Because crying made them angry. "Come on," Dad would say. "You're tough, right?" So yeah, she got tough. Too soon. Too fast. When she hit her teens and started working part-time, part of her paycheck automatically went to the family. When she got into nursing school, she had to take out loans. Chloe. She got her tuition paid in full for a private design college. She's now a freelance graphic designer, working from home, making logos and running a couple of Instagram accounts for beauty brands. She constantly complains how hard it is being a single mom. When Daniela met Paul, their faces dropped. He wasn't their kind. Not ambitious. Not useful. But he was kind. Steady. And he actually saw Daniela, not just what she could do for everyone. They said he was holding her back. That she could have married someone more promising. Translation. Someone who'd keep bankrolling their little wish list. Paul never stopped Daniela from helping them. But he did stand up to her mother. Once. Just once. And that was enough for them to hate him forever. When he got sick and Daniela started spending money on his treatment, they got offended. Said she forgot who gave her everything in life. Said she owed them. Said their roof was leaking and now they didn't have enough to fix it. Then he died. And just like that, she was alone again. No husband. No buffer. They never liked Eliza. From day one. Said her eyes were weird. Said she was too quiet. Said she didn't take after us. When Eliza stopped talking after Paul's death, barely slept, refused to leave her room, Mom said, "You spoiled her. She likes playing the victim." And after what they did to Eliza this Christmas, it all finally clicked. This wasn't some isolated incident. This wasn't a bad day. This wasn't a breakdown. It was a continuation of the same pattern Daniela had been trapped in since childhood. And if she didn't break it now, they'd do to Eliza exactly what they did to her. Around 3 a.m., Daniela went downstairs, made some tea, sat in the dark, and without any drama, without any tears, she realized. Enough. No more extra money. No more insurance coverage. No more paying for Chloe's new iPad or her little online design courses she'd been dreaming about for 6 months. Chloe could find another sponsor. Daniela was done. By morning, she was already on the phone with her lawyer. Things were going to change. For good. She woke up before Eliza. Sat on the edge of the bed, just watching her breathe. Eliza looked peaceful, but her eyes were still swollen, even in her sleep. There were dried tear marks on her pillow. And in that moment, Daniela realized, this wasn't just some family drama. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a rough holiday. Something broke. For good. And if she didn't act now, she wouldn't just be betraying Eliza. She'd be betraying herself. There's this rule in the ER. If someone's bleeding out, you don't stop to ask what happened. You stop the bleeding. That's exactly what this was. Only the patient was her daughter. And the blood? Her trust. Daniela went to the kitchen, made some coffee, opened her laptop. Made a list. Cold. Clinical. Like she was scrubbing in for surgery. First thing on the list, meet with attorney. Second, meet with Alex. He actually reached out to her first. Messaged. If you want to know what really happened, I recorded it. Want to show you. But not at the house. She told him to meet her at the little coffee shop across from her clinic. He showed up alone. Hoodie, backpack, dark circles under his eyes. A kid who's tired of being the adult. Hey, he said, sitting down across from her. Thanks for meeting me. Alex, Daniela said, thank you. For what you did for Eliza. She told me you brought her food when they locked her in that room. He nodded, stared out the window. I couldn't not do something, you know? We all act like this stuff is normal. Grandma screaming, Mom bossing everyone around, Grandpa staying quiet because it's easier. That's just how it's always been. But Eliza was alone, crying, on Christmas. And I just sat there, eating pie. I felt disgusting. He pulled out his phone and hit play. 10 minutes of shaky, dim footage. He'd filmed it secretly from across the room. The video quality wasn't great, but the audio, crystal clear. Daniela heard her mother call her daughter odd. Heard Chloe snap, take off that hat, it's rude. And, enough whining about your dad. Then Eliza, standing up, yelling, crying. And then Daniela's mom grabbing the girl's arm, dragging her away from the table. Go to your room and think about your behavior. Don't you dare come out until morning. Then Chloe's voice hissing, good. Let her sit. Maybe she'll get over herself. The video cut out. Daniela's heart was pounding like she'd run a marathon. You have a copy? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Yeah. He handed her a flash drive. She looked at him. Why did you do this, Alex? He shrugged. Maybe because I want out. Out of all of it. This family, it's like everyone walks a tightrope. And Grandma's the one holding the rope. Step out of line, and she cuts you off. I'm not a hero, Aunt Danny. But I'm done pretending this is okay. What they did was rock bottom. Daniela stared at him, and for a second she saw Paul. That same quiet strength. That same exhausted honesty. The same low-key defiance. You're gonna be okay, she told him. You're not like them. He smiled a little. Thanks. I just want to finish high school. Get out. Maybe UC Berkeley'll take me. I like biology, you know? Guess it runs in the family. Daniela laughed. He blushed. She put her hand on his shoulder. If you ever need anything, reach out. And thank you. This video, it matters. The next day, Daniela was in her lawyer's office. No, she didn't think her parents would end up in jail over oatmeal and a rotting apple. But she wanted them to know. Things had changed. She filed a formal complaint for emotional abuse. In California, that's not a joke. Yeah, sometimes it ends in a warning. But not always. That night, she sat down with a calculator. She added it up, everything she paid to support them. Monthly stipends, health insurance, gifts, roof repairs. They're half of the mortgage. The custom kitchen they redid last year. By the end of it, her stomach dropped. Almost $18,000. For the privilege of having her daughter called weird and banished from the dinner table. And Chloe. Daniela had been paying for her online design courses. Chloe always dreamed of opening her own interior design studio. Daniela thought maybe, if Chloe had a passion, she'd finally become a decent human. Stupid her. She even loaned Chloe money for a summer vacation with the kids. Never saw a cent back. That was it. Daniela canceled the auto payments. Removed them from her health plan. Called the bank. No more mortgage support. Design course? Canceled. Subscription deleted. A storm's coming. But this time, it's not inside her. It's headed exactly where it belongs. She's still shaking. But not from fear. Not from guilt. She's not the quiet daughter anymore. She's a mother. One who knows exactly who will and who won't be at the table from now on. The calls started 3 days later. First her dad. Then her mom. Then Chloe. Then her mom again. Then a text from Chloe. You're going too far. You know what's funny? Daniela didn't say a single word. Not one. No explanations. No arguments. No justifications. She just had her lawyer send over the paperwork. A formal letter terminating all financial support. Copies of checks and receipts. A 3-year itemized breakdown of every dollar she'd spent on them. Neat little columns. Totals. Signatures. No emotion, just math. They wanted to treat her like an accountant? Fine. Here's the spreadsheet. Her mom was the first to crack. She called while Daniela was at the grocery store. Daniela was standing in front of the dairy fridge, debating oat milk or whole, and her phone buzzed. "Are you out of your damn mind? This is how you thank us for everything we've done for you." Daniela hit decline, put her phone on silent, stopped checking her messages altogether. 2 days later came wave 2. "You're abandoning your family. You're manipulating your child. How could you be so cruel?" Chloe, of course, really leaned in. It was like the self-righteous Olympics, and she was going for gold. Then the panic kicked in. Daniela guesses it finally hit them when those late payment notices started rolling in. When they realized this wasn't just another one of her emotional phases. That this time, she was done for real. Chloe sent a whole letter. An actual, bulleted list of reasons why Daniela owed them. Why she should never air family business in public. Why she was overreacting. And why she should be ashamed for destroying the family. Daniela dropped it straight into the verbal abuse folder. Didn't read past the first line. Does she feel bad? Not even a little. She hasn't forgotten how Eliza sat alone in that room on Christmas while they laughed at the dinner table. Then Daniela filed a civil complaint. She knew it probably wouldn't go anywhere legally. But that wasn't the point. Even her lawyer said it. "You're doing this so they understand they don't get to do this anymore and walk away clean." Exactly. Even if the court didn't rule in her favor, she was still allowed to be angry. Still allowed to act. At the hearing, they tried to play it down. "We were just trying to teach our granddaughter respect," her mom said. "It was basic discipline," Chloe added, like she was reading off a parenting blog from 1987. They even dragged in some therapist friend of theirs who testified that Eliza is just a sensitive child, and that maintaining family hierarchy is important in situations like this. The judge didn't say much, just listened. Then they played the recording Alex made, and the room went dead silent. You could hear every word. The insults, the mockery, their voices so cold, so smug. And Eliza's voice, quiet and shaky, trying to defend her dad, before getting shut down and dragged away from the table. Daniela looked at her mom. At Chloe. They didn't look at the screen. Her mom turned her face completely. In the end, the court didn't label it as abuse. Apparently, there wasn't sufficient evidence of a clear threat to the child's health. Fine. But now Daniela had official records. Filed statements. Audio evidence. A psychological assessment of Eliza. So if they ever dared to pull something like this again, let's just say she wouldn't need another hearing. It's been a year. Daniela's parents had to sell the house. Quick sale. Cheap. You know how it goes. Miss enough payments, and suddenly creditors are breathing down your neck like it's a hobby. Then someone in a local Facebook group posted the video. The video. The one where Daniela's daughter's being mocked for wearing a beanie and yelled at for wanting to say a prayer before dinner. At first, her parents did what they do best, downplay. It wasn't that serious. Kids exaggerate. Family matters should stay private. But when half the neighbors stopped saying hello, and the other half smiled like they knew everything, but were pretending they didn't, let's just say the public image started to crack. Daniela's mom quietly stepped down from her church volunteer group. Apparently, disciplining your granddaughter with isolation and rotten food doesn't really align with the whole Christian compassion brand. Her dad? He stopped going to his veterans group after one of the guys leaned in and asked, "Hey, is it true you kicked a little girl out of Christmas dinner for praying?" He stood up, walked out, never came back. Family gatherings? Yeah, no. Suddenly, all the cousins and extended relatives became too busy or out of town the minute they heard her parents were planning to attend. Turns out, no one's really in the mood to be one big happy family anymore. And yeah, they blame Daniela. As they should. Chloe still has her face, her filters, and her Instagram full of polished smiles. Zero real connection with her own kid, though. Alex moved out a couple months later. Got a part-time job, rented a room with a friend, enrolled in college. Chloe now posts inspirational quotes from therapists and aesthetic memes that say stuff like, "Learning to let go of negativity," usually next to a glass of wine and a fancy candle. Very chic. Very empty. Just like her. Eliza and Daniela? They're good. Eliza started dance classes. She laughs more now. Daniela hung one of her drawings in their bedroom. It's a picture of Eliza, Daniela, and Paul, with the word family scribbled in big, colorful letters. Daniela doesn't do holidays out of tradition anymore. She doesn't pick up the phone when her parents call. They still call. Not often, but they do. She reads the texts, deletes them. That's it. She's not angry. She just doesn't care anymore. This Thanksgiving, Eliza and Daniela made pineapple pizza. For Christmas, they built a gingerbread house and sang along to old cartoon soundtracks. Family isn't the people who scream the loudest about unity. It's the ones who don't leave your kid alone in a room on Christmas. Eliza still wears that beanie sometimes. Nobody tells her to take it off now. And no, Daniela didn't file an appeal. The court said there was no clear threat to health or safety. Fine, let them think she lost. But she didn't, because no one will ever again make her daughter feel like she doesn't belong in her own family. And that's the win. What do you think? Did she do the right thing? Or should she have kept quiet, sucked it up for the sake of family? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. She's really curious. And if this story hit close to home, hit subscribe.